We're going to discuss how Villa have lost their undefeated record in the Champions League. It may have gone at any point, of course, you know, in this league phase of the competition, but it went, Alan, in the most bizarre of circumstances.
Yeah, very bizarre. I mean, you're kind of scratching your head looking at it, and I just felt from a defender's point of view, if that was me, and even if you were unaware that Martinez has kicked you the ball, you get on with it right there and then. You turn round, you try and play it down the line, you put it out, if need be, but it looked like Tyrone Mings maybe his head was filled with, I don't know, he was thinking about something else. He just didn't realise, and if you see here, I'm sure that the ref doesn't actually have to blow his whistle when he's taking a goal kick, but Martinez kicks him the ball, ball's in play for me. There's no really any need for Tyrone Mings. Looking, I feel from him, he's been out for a long period of time. It's only his second game back, but he needs to just then get on with it, play. I don't really get why he's putting his hand on it.
No, the moment he passes it to him, the ball's live. It's, you know, even if you don't think it's live, you don't put your hand on it in the box. It's a moment of madness. I think, obviously, I look back on it, and there might be the excuses, but it's just a complete moment of madness. And we all shouted here, "Oh my God, it's a penalty!" The minute he did it, and you know, it's a moment of madness, and he will regret it.
Yeah, and this is the penalty. Van Aken, who has been one of the danger men in this, and he got his just rewards as well in this game. It's certainly a night to forget for Tyrone Mings. He could have been red carded because he was already on a yellow for this one. And, you know, I mean, this was his Champions League debut. He now has this unwelcome record of being the first English player to concede a penalty on his Champions League debut as well. It's an interesting one because we saw this, or something very similar actually, between David Raya and Gabriel in when Arsenal played Bayern Munich last season, and there was a lot of furore over that. The penalty wasn't awarded, and Thomas Tuchel was asked about it in the post-match interview, and he said that the referee told him that he wasn't going to award a penalty for a kid's mistake.
That's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, we've all made mistakes, but we've been punished for them. Unless you can't.
And the letter of the law is that you're going to give a penalty for that. It doesn't matter about the kid's mistake,
right? If you look at it, right, Martinez passes Tyrone Mings the ball. He's actually got plenty of time. I want to stick up for him because I want to see him do well. As I said, he's had a long injury and he's out, and he's got time to actually turn, even if Martinez speaks to him. But then again, he's not expecting him to put his hand on the ball. You expect him to turn out and then play. Oh, it's a real shame. I feel for him. Look, he's the type of character that it won't affect him, but it's a poor mistake. It's
such a poor mistake, and you know, interestingly, John McGinn was remonstrating with the referee, asking why he didn't blow the whistle. But of course, according to IFAB rules, he does not need to blow the whistle for that particular circumstance. But you know, let's not let the penalty incident detract from what really was a surprisingly poor performance from Aston Villa. They're now 4 without a win, 2 wins in their last 7. They haven't won since they beat Bologna.
Yeah, a few changes came in. I just felt it was a lack of ideas and a lack of urgency, really. I thought Club Brugge set up pretty well. They were very difficult to break down. I thought the 2 defensive midfielders were dropping in almost to the back 4 at times, going with the runs of McGinn and Morgan. So very difficult to break down. But then they also had a bit of a threat the other side. You know, had some good chances in the first half. There was warning signs. Villa didn't improve, and in the end, they got what they deserved. Yeah,
absolutely. That's the key, isn't it? They just did not improve. OK, we are going to continue our coverage. Which camera am I on? This one. Right, we're going to continue. For Aston Villa, it was only by a 1-0, but of course, it happened, as we saw before the break, in very bizarre circumstances. Tyrone Mings handling the ball in the area, which then, of course, he conceded a subsequent penalty from that, which Brugge scored. But, of course, as we touched on just before the break, it doesn't detract from what was a really sort of very slow performance from Aston Villa. It's not how we normally see them, where they do press, you've got really good ball carriers in that team, and it didn't seem that anyone could really get the energy to play at the standard that we've seen and come to expect.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why Unai Emery made the changes. He needs to use his squad. He's got a lot of big games coming up, but I think that can take a little bit of that away from the way that you're playing. Like Ramsey when he's playing, Rodgers, these kind of guys, they get in the half spaces, they turn, they drive. When they play at a quick tempo and they move the ball around the pitch, I think that's when Villa are at their best. They push up in a high line and they create a lot of opportunities. I think tonight it just wasn't quite there. And I think a lot of that has to go down to Brugge and the way they defended. They didn't allow the space in behind for runners and movement, so fair play to them. But I think from a Villa point of view, everything just needed to be sharper and quicker.
And that was the problem, wasn't it? It just looked sluggish.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
and careless, actually, in some instances.
Yeah, and it was just a bit too slow in the build-up play. And like you say, you have to hand credit to Club Brugge. They frustrated them, but I think you get that in the Champions League. You have to, every single player has to be on it every single moment. And you know, there's a couple of players there been out for a long, long time in Kamara, certainly in Mings. There was a little drop-off in tempo, and it doesn't take much for that to be capitalised on, and that was the case tonight. You know, Brugge were the better side and deserved the win.
And I think that's an interesting point that you make, that, you know, there were 5 changes made to this game, a couple of players who haven't had a lot of playing time as well that we saw on the pitch. And that does have an impact, doesn't it, when they haven't had that real game time for a long time, and then to gel and raise your game at this level, it all kind of, probably not a match made in heaven, is it really?
Unfortunately, it's not just like a light switch. You can't just turn it back on, especially when you've been out for over a season. It takes time. It takes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games to get back up to speed. But unfortunately, you don't really get that time. You really need to hit the ground running. So it's been difficult for them. You've got the likes of Bailey who coming in, that I said he's had a poor start to this season. You're looking for more from him, not quite get there. But it's funny, me and Crouchy were talking, and we were talking about the centre halves when they get the ball. It was very slow. It was side to side, maybe out to the full back and back in, where Pau Torres comes on. First 2 passes, they get an opportunity because he gets his head up, he's got a good left foot, and he fires into the front players. So, look, that's what they're missing.
Yeah, and look, if you take a look at their recent games, I mean, even in the last 4, they haven't won in their last 4. 3 defeats in a row now, in 3 different competitions, actually. Does that tell you that they're in a bit of a rut in terms of what they're trying to achieve, or is it transitional because they are still welcoming back a lot of players and they've got to use this squad effectively?
Listen, I think it's easy to forget here, like, Aston Villa are in a fantastic position. I mean, if they'd have won today, they'd have been top of the entire Champions League for the first time they've been here. So it was amazing what they've achieved so far. The last few results, really disappointing. Palace going out of the Cup, disappointing. Today again, and Tottenham as well. What the difficulty is, you can sleepwalk into a run of bad results, and then you find it difficult to get out of that rut. I think tonight, if you saw it, I mean, Unai Emery here, if you see, I think it was John Duran who was shouting at there. I mean, he was absolutely fuming, and the standards that he set, and I've worked with Paco Estienne, the assistant manager there at Liverpool. The standards they expect are so high, and they've just slightly dropped level the last few games, and that won't be tolerated, and you'll find a few of them out of the team.
Crouch, I think as well, when you think about it, at the start of this campaign, if you want, of the Champions League, if you offered Unai Emery the points that he's on right now after 4 games, I think they would have definitely taken it. Of course, winning your first 3, you want to absolutely kick on, knowing that this is a good opportunity, but they're still in a good place. It's just about continuing to work hard and get out of this kind of rut that they're in. Yeah,
I mean, after the 2 days, in terms of the Champions League, they're down in 5th now. But as you say, they've done a big job so far because they've still got 5 games to come in this Champions League, but they have 9 points, and that's more than Manchester City as well. That's more than Real Madrid. That's more than Bayern Munich, who we're going to see next. So they've put themselves in a solid position at this stage, and also in the Premier League. They're not in a bad place. I mean, you're going to be at Liverpool on Sunday. That game's live on TNT Sports. It's an unusual kickoff time at 8 p.m. on Saturday night. Can they sufficiently raise their game ahead of that game? I mean, even just the Champions League, Liverpool are at the top of that. They've got their 100% record.
They'll definitely have to raise it. I mean, they'll have to go through the gears if they're going to get something at Anfield. I don't think that'll be the starting team. I think they will revert back to what we know best, but you really need to raise it. Every single player has to be at the top of their game if you need to go to a place, as you know, Crouchy, like Anfield, and get a result. The problem is you know, these results, like, they would have been expected to get a result today. Liverpool's really, really difficult. And then people like us say they haven't won in 6. You know, and then the pressure kind of builds.
Yeah, well, this is it.
And it's just how it happens. And, you know, we've been around it enough times. You find yourself, hold on, how did that happen? We haven't won in 6. We haven't won in 7.
Because it goes quick, doesn't it? Game after game.
And you just, obviously, Unai Emery will be well aware of this fact. And that's why he was probably,
you know, absolutely fuming about the way his players performed. But it's just as easy to get out of it. You know, they go and put on an amazing performance against Liverpool, get a result there, and everything changes.
Yeah, there's certainly a group of players who are obviously capable of it, but tonight wasn't their finest moment. They'll really be disappointed. Let's get some reaction now from Brugge. Ezri Konsa has been speaking to JD Dyer.
Ezri, look, defeats, especially in Europe, are just a part of the campaign. It's just shortcomings are a part of football at some point. So just tell me in terms of just the approach tonight, where was the shortcomings from?
Look, like you said, it's part of football. You win some, you lose some, and unfortunately today it wasn't our night. It's our first loss in the Champions League, and you know we have to move on from it quickly. We've got another game on Saturday, so you know we can't be too down about it. You know, in football, the games come quick and fast. So, look, like I said, we'll have to move on from this and focus on our next game.
The penalty incident is naturally going to differ in terms of opinions. Everyone naturally is going to hark back to what happened between Arsenal and Bayern last season in the Champions League. Just from your perspective and what your teammates are saying in there, what was you guys in some reflections?
To be honest, I didn't see it. I just saw the players running to the ref saying handball, and you know, it's just one of those ones. I think it kills the game. It's 0-0. You know, I think if it is a handball deliberate, he's got to get a second yellow. He's on a yellow already, so I mean, why not send him off for that then? So, you know, I think it killed the game. You know, it's a mistake, but you know, it's not a mistake that we make, that we want to make. But look, it's happened now. Nothing we can do. We just got to move on from it.
I want to talk about the building blocks and learning experiences, because European nights like this are going to be difficult, but there's going to be loads more for you in terms of in your career and a lot of those players in there. So what can you take from it that's going to be better for equipped to you in the future?
Yeah, you know, away games are always difficult, you know, especially when you come away from home, you know, to a different country and you feel the atmosphere here like tonight. You have to stick together as a team. You know, throughout the game, obviously they created chances, but, you know, we've done well to keep it at 0-0 for such a long period. I feel like we didn't create enough chances, but, you know, look, there's not much I could really say, man. We lost the game, and, you know, it's just an unfortunate night.
Appreciate you for coming out anyway. No worries.
Yeah, great event, Ezri Konsa, to speak there. He said, you know, talked about that incident now, which is going to be infamous now, that it really killed the game. I suppose mentally it's really hard for the players to get up in the game after something so bizarre as well. And I guess, you know, Martinez and Mings won't have played together in that live setting for a very long time.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we were just talking, as Konsa was talking about the incident, I was thinking, like, it's probably muscle memory in some ways, like trying to stick up for Mings a little bit, because obviously what he did was wrong. But I think it would have been maybe Unai Emery's attention to detail is so, they train this every single day, so I reckon it would have been Mings consistently passing to Martinez. So when Martinez passes to Mings, it might be an issue of like, hold on, that's not what we do. So without thinking, he's just picked the ball up and tried to start again. It's like, I don't think Martinez would pass the ball out to Mings and play from there. I think it would be the other way around.
Yeah, because I just think when you see it, Tyrone Mings has actually got a long time like on the ball if he needs it. I mean, the ball gets rolled to him. It's not like somebody's right up at his back and he panics about it. I know for a fact they work on this every day. So Crouch is right in saying what he's saying, like that kind of muscle memory where it's, no, that's not how we're supposed to do it. And he's just switched off for a second and then the penalty's given.
It's so unfortunate, isn't it? But it did, of course, have a big effect on the game. Let's hear from the Aston Villa manager now. Unai Emery has also been speaking to JD Dyer.
Unai, you're always very honest, whether in victory or in defeat. So I just want to understand where you thought the shortcomings came in terms of your approach from your team tonight.
Good evening. We played very good first half. We created chances to score. We didn't score. We considered one chances for them, but we were more or less under our control the match, and of course we knew how was our way. And the second half, the mistake changed everything, because one thing like then here playing at home, defensive very strong, very focused, playing 100% in their idea to stop us and play and transition. They were better than us, but of course the key was the first half and the mistake we made.
Do you accept it as a mistake? Because some people will question and say there was a similar incident last season in the Champions League between Arsenal and Bayern, which wasn't resulted in a penalty. So what's your perspective on it? Is it one you want to accept?
It's a word for the referees and the VAR for me.
And finally, just in terms of what your team can learn from this, in terms of building blocks and going forward, because you know European nights like this are going to come many, many times for you guys in the future. So what do you guys want to take from this to build?
We learned last year to play away always is difficult, and playing against in Champions League one team like Brugge, of course, we can be the favourite for 8 matches in the table, but for one match playing here against them, we are not favourite, and they show us the capacity as well to beat us, and they did.
Yeah, Unai Emery understandably disappointed, but given his experience in Europe and given everything that he brings to this club and how he's lifted the club in the last 2 years, you feel that if there's anyone who is going to be able to motivate these players to raise their game and get out of this rut, it's going to be him.
Yeah, listen, he's managed that. I mean, what is the job he's done at the football club has been absolutely incredible. Yeah, they've lost a few games recently, but there's still been signs. I mean, there's not as if they've down tools, you know. I think they've lost some games. That was a disappointing one today. They still created chances, and I still think that they'll be back. There's absolutely no issues there at all. I think there's lots of players that are probably overachieving and have been for a long time, and he's done a fantastic job, and he will continue to do a fantastic job. He's just done a little bit of a bad period.
It's a bit of a wobble.
Yeah, a little bit of a wobble. You allowed him.
Yeah, you're allowed
Everyone
them.
gets it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a player, you have plenty of them, and you make mistakes, and as a team, you don't get the results that you're looking for. But it's about how you bounce back, and I'm sure come next game they'll be prepared and raring to go. And look, it's going to be a difficult one. There's no getting away from that. But they've got the quality within their team to go and affect it.
Yeah.